Welcome to the Birth Journeys podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Hoff, BSN RN. I am a wife, a mother of two, and a nurse specializing in the care of women and newborns. In this podcast, we will share powerful journeys of birth givers with the goals of lifting the veil on the birth experience, healing through sharing, and beginning an open conversation to strengthen trust and promote transparency between birthing people and healthcare providers. Hello, today I have with me Erin Hall, a mom of two and part of the heart behind Bump and Beyond, a vibrant online community that connects families with resources, education, and a whole lot of encouragement from pregnancy through parenthood. Through Bump and Beyond, Erin helps families feel less alone and more empowered by creating spaces where they can learn, ask questions, and discover support they didn't even know existed. She's passionate about building community, sparking a love of reading in kids, and finding creative ways to make parenting feel a little more fun and a lot less overwhelming. Erin is also a paper pie vendor, sharing high-quality children's books and educational resources that inspire curiosity, creativity, and a lifelong love of learning. Whether she's hosting family-friendly events, stocking little free libraries, or cheering on her kids from the sidelines, she radiates the kind of encouragement every parent needs. Today, Erin is here to share her own birth stories, giving us a real and heartfelt glimpse into her journey into motherhood. Erin, welcome and thank you for joining me.
Hey, Kelly. Thanks for having me on.
I am so excited to finally hear your birth stories. It's been a long time coming. We've had little snippets of what happened, but I want to hear it all.
Yeah. Well, gosh, I don't know. Where do you want me to start?
I feel like the beginning would be good.
The beginning.
Okay. I would assume we'd start with Kylie.
Okay, so once upon a time, Brandon and I met and we got married, and then it was 2 or 3 days later, Kylie was conceived.
Oh dear.
So honeymoon ended very fast, and we got married December, and I found out I was pregnant on my birthday, which is February 1st. So yeah, God has a way to make things slap you in the face real fast. And so in that process of pregnancy, it was very overwhelming. Brandon was leaving his job at the university, and I was working in the restaurant. We had to sell our house. We had to buy a house, and it was a lot. So being pregnant was never fun for me. I always felt very large, and I still struggle with body image issues because getting pregnant so fast after my wedding, with my wedding, I was in amazing shape, and getting pregnant so fast, like your body just doesn't go back how you think it should. And so that took probably until about I was pregnant with Kason, which was like 3 years later, where I was feeling okay. And then I got pregnant. So again, they just throw things at you, right? So fun. But for the birthing story itself with Kylie, we knew we wanted to do a hospital birth. And so we did the classes they offered. We thought we learned a whole lot. And turns out we learned pretty much nothing about what was actually going to happen. They did talk about having your birth plan. Like, the classes were actually really good. It was like 8 weeks of classes, 1 night a week. It was a lot of information. So they went over things as a brand new mom. It would make you feel comfortable bringing a human into the world. They talked about having a birthing plan and having a plan B, C, and D, because things happen. And I just was like, no, I'm healthy. Things are going to be great. I want to go all natural. I was really into nutrition at that point. I still am, but I was really into nutrition at that point. And I was just like, I don't want any medicine in me unless it has to happen. And so that's kind of how we went in. Here's a fun story for you that my Kylie always likes me to tell. So Kylie's due date was October 4th. And I had my checkup with the doctor, and she's like, you're 3 centimeters dialing, but ain't nothing happening. Like, she's just hanging out. No contractions, nothing's going on. And so we went home, and that appointment was like 10 in the morning. So at night, I was super uncomfortable. And I was like, I think something's going on, but you don't know. Like, until you're in the process of it, you have no idea what's happening. And so I was really uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to lay down. So I decided to just sleep downstairs. And about 3 in the morning, I begged Brandon to come sleep with me because I was so uncomfortable downstairs, even in the chair. I couldn't sleep. And so now we're in October 5th, but I didn't know it at the time, but my contractions had started the day before. And fun fact, if you did not know, when hurricanes come through, it sends women into labor. I guess the air pressure, when it changes, it's just like, okay, mom, it's time. And so there was a hurricane coming through North Carolina. So the body was like, okay, we're getting this started. Well, Kylie didn't want to leave. And so she's just hanging out. And the contractions are speeding up because we moved. We were almost an hour away from the hospital, which is funny to say because we live in a metropolitan area. But the birthing hospital I was going to be at it was like 55 minutes away. And so they were like, when your contractions hit 7 minutes apart, because we live so far away, but at 5 minutes apart, because I was like, I'm not going to be sent home. That's not going to happen. Then we decided to go. And that morning I was on my big giant yoga ball, just bouncing while I was doing puzzles. So Brandon knows like babies are coming when I get like full on puzzle mode. And I'm just knocking out like 1,000-piece puzzles within a couple hours. So Brandon's always like, oh no, she's working on puzzles. What's happening? So anyways, my contractions were 5 minutes apart. And then we decided to leave and go up to the hospital. On the way to the hospital, I'm having contractions. There's pressure, there's pain. And Brandon goes, hey, we're probably going to be in the hospital for a while. And, I'm not going to be able to go get food. Can we stop by Chick-fil-A real quick? So we ran through the drive-thru of Chick-fil-A when I was having my contractions. I was in active labor. And so then we got to the hospital. It was a new birthing center. It was beautiful. And they put us into a triage room, which they only had 3 of. And we ended up being in triage for like 6 hours because so many women were coming in that needed to be seen before me. And I was still only 3 centimeters dilated, even having contractions. Like there was nothing was doing. So they had me walk the hospital walls and I'm bouncing on yoga balls and they're trying to do all the things and nothing happened. So then finally, after the 6 hours, they moved me to a birthing suite. So this is still October 5th, but I'd been in labor at this point for 20 hours. And so I'm in the birthing suite and they're like, do you want an epidural? I was like, no, I want to go all natural. Like, this is what God created. He created our bodies to be able to do this. And I was like, I can do this. I'm strong-willed. So we're in the birthing suite and nothing is happening. And at that point with that hospital, they only had 1 doctor on duty. And so because so many women were coming in to give birth, they had to send people away because there weren't any room. So we heard like horror stories later of like a lady got sent away and like she gave birth on the drive home. Just crazy things. And I was like, well, thank God they let me stay. So we're in the birthing suite and Brandon and I we're doing our funny waddle dances and we're just doing everything we can to try to get Kylie to want to come. But the doctor would not break my water. I don't know why we didn't ask at the time, but that's definitely something in hindsight, I would be like, why didn't you break my water at that point? Especially with my second child, Kason, his water broke. And I was like, oh yeah, that pushed things along very quickly. So my water never broke with Kylie, but because I was getting so exhausted because I'd been in active labor for so long, it was probably like 1 or 2 in the morning of the 6th of October. And they finally came in and I was done. I was exhausted. But at this point, I'm like, my contractions are like 3 minutes apart, 2 minutes apart. So like things are moving, but Kylie's not going anywhere. I'm not dilated anymore to make anything special happen. And so they were like, well, why don't we give you an epidural so at least your body can get a break? And then we'll give you Pitocin to help speed along that labor. And I was like, yeah, that's great. I'm done. Like, I'm done running this marathon. I'm over it. And so they gave me the epidural and they gave me the Pitocin. The Pitocin worked very well. The epidural did not take. So I was feeling all the pain. And I didn't know better because I was like, because epidural was not a part of what my plan was, they were like, oh, you should feel a tingling down your left side. And I thought I did, but apparently I didn't. And so with epidural not taking and the Pitocin did take, I felt like I was in the movie The Exorcist. Like my body's like bending in positions it should not physically be able to bend, especially when you're, 9 months pregnant. And Brandon, he would leave the room to be like, I'm going to get you more ice chips. And he would leave the room so he could like try to compose himself because he's like, I don't know what to do because they can't give me anything else. And then eventually the nurse walks in and I'm sitting up just like I am now. And she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. This is the only way I can be comfortable. Like, I don't know what's going on. And she's like, no, you physically should not be able to be sitting up right now. And I was like, okay, like I didn't know because from the epidural, like you're paralyzed from the waist down. So she's like, you physically shouldn't be able to be sitting up like I was. And that's when we realized the epidural did not take. So they put in a call for the anesthesiologist to get another epidural in. And thankfully the shift had changed. So that was going to be a new gentleman, but there was a wait because there are so many women giving birth. So I had to wait like 2 hours longer to get the epidural. And at this point, I think I was only 5 centimeters dilated at this point. But we're going on like 30 hours, 32 hours of labor. And the Pitocin kicked in. So add that on top of it. So lots of things happening. And so my contractions are 30 seconds apart when the anesthesiologist gets back in. And they're like, he's the best one in the state. He's amazing. He's really pretty to look at. And I was like, that's what I needed at that point. It did help, by the way. But thank God for that guy because he came in because he has to do it between my contractions. And he stuck that dang, ridiculously long needle in my back, one hit wonder. And he's like, you should feel a tingle down your left side. And then I was like, I think I feel something. And then all of a sudden I was like, that's what it was supposed to feel like the first time. So then I knew the epidural had taken. And then I slept for 5 hours, like passed out, like within seconds of that epidural taking. Like they just laid me down and I was out to the world. And within those 5 hours, the shift had changed for the doctors. So there was a new doctor there. And so when I woke up, the nurse went and got the doctor and she was like, oh, we came in and checked on you. I heard you had like the most horrendous night of your life. I was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, you've progressed really well. And going back now and looking at it, that what I needed was to find a way for my body to calm. And so I love what you're doing with moms. And I really, for anybody watching this, Kelly was my babysitter growing up, but she was not doing this birth coaching when I was pregnant. If she was, I would have paid, even my husband, he's like, we would have paid thousands of dollars to have Kelly come and walk us through that whole process. Because if we had Kelly there, she'd be like, if you're in this much pain, the epidural probably didn't work. Like we would have seen that right away. Why the nurses didn't notice that, I don't know. Until that point, I was so, like I said, I was living like exorcist life.
Do you want to pause and talk through any of this? Because you've said a lot of things that were, so I promised, backstory, I promised that we would do some postpartum coaching in this episode because, like Erin said, I wasn't there for any of the births. And for the past year that we've been working together since we reconnected after I babysat her when she was little, we've been talking about like, oh, it would have been nice for me to be able to help you through this. So I've heard a couple of things that stand out as like question marks for you.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you say that your doctor didn't break your water.
Yes.
I heard you say that was the Pitocin started before or after your epidural?
It was the same time.
I see. So like they started it while they were putting in the epidural?
Yeah, they put it because I was linked up to an IV at that point because I was already dehydrated. And so I don't know if he did the epidural first and then they entered in the Pitocin, but it was within the same session of them being in the room.
Okay. As far as breaking your water, you said were you 3 centimeters when you got to the hospital still?
I was 3 when I got to the hospital. When they were giving me the epidural, I think I was at about 5.
Okay. So ordinarily, when we break someone's water, we have to make sure that the head needs to be down enough in the pelvis that when they break the water, they are relatively sure that the cord won't come down before the baby's head, because that would be an emergency. So probably at 3 centimeters, when you're in natural labor, they may not have wanted to do that, because I would assume that the baby's head wasn't far enough down.
Sure. Yeah,
that would be my assumption.
To me.
Yeah.
It was just to the point where I don't know if they knew what to do with me until they realized that the epidural didn't take.
Right. But like before the epidural, because had they broken the water, let's pretend in this other alternate reality, the baby's head was far enough down and you were 3 centimeters. Had they broken the water, it would have gotten really, really fast. And as a first-time mom, that could set you out of control in pain, right? So I think there were a couple, there weren't red flags or little orange flags where without enough information, I would say, yeah, probably I wouldn't expect a provider to break your water, knowing that, 3 centimeters and natural labor, and I don't know what station my baby's head is. So those could have been the things that were playing into it. Normally what we would have you do is like walk the halls, try to get labor going more, all of the things that you said that you did, which it doesn't help your pain at all.
So I guess continuing the story of where I was at. So when the new doctor came in, once I had woken up after my 5-hour nap, we had dilated more.
Yeah.
And at that point, she was like, because you've dilated more, we're going to go ahead and break the water if you're okay with that. And I was like, please get this thing out of me. And
the thing.
At this point, it could have been an alien at this point. I didn't care. It needed to go. So when the doctor broke the water, it was probably within 20 minutes, the nurse came and checked on me and she's like, don't push. I have to get the doctor. And then it was like one push and Kylie was out.
Wow.
And Kason was totally the opposite, where Kason, his water broke when we were at home. And so just knowing that, obviously I'm not a nurse. I did not go to school for that. I can't say I would change my story because it's mine and it's Kylie's. But when she broke the water, that's when everything happened. That's what is in my brain with the story. So it's like, why couldn't they just done that sooner? But like you said, I probably wasn't dilated enough. And I don't know what position Kylie was in because I was in so much pain. I wasn't thinking. At that point, it was just like, make it stop.
Yeah.
But then, Kylie came. She had pooped on herself because she was in the birthing canal for so long. And so they cleaned her, and then Brandon got to hold her, and she held his big finger. It was really sweet.
Aww.
And then they're like, do you want to hold her? I'm like, I don't know. Because at that point, I'm just like, I'm so out of it.
Yeah.
Like it was very stressful, painful. I'm sure there are other people that have much worse stories than me. We didn't have to have a C-section, which is amazing. She didn't have to go to NICU. Nothing like that happened. So that instance of our story with Kylie was amazing. Throughout the whole thing, we were both healthy. We both came out fine. She's great. She's almost 9, and I survived. That's what I get to say for that.
Let's pause for a sec.
Okay.
Because there's still some unprocessed emotions there. So you told what I would consider a pretty traumatic story, because what I define as trauma is your brain can't connect with what is happening to your body. Like your brain cannot explain it. And so I hear a lot of, oh my God, what is happening to me? My body is out of control. So I kind of want to hear from you what parts were the hardest parts, or the parts where you felt, you described feeling like something from The Exorcist.
Yes.
Right? Are there points in the story that you could go back and pinpoint that you need to work through?
It would be the point up to where the nurse was like, how are you physically doing that? Because that's when the realization hit that the epidural did not take. And I guess it's something that could have been avoided.
Potentially.
I mean, if the epidural took the first time, then I wouldn't have been in that pain.
Right.
But it didn't. And obviously you can't change that. But that is definitely, if I have PTSD over something, it's that excruciating pain from the Pitocin. If I went back, would I have let them give me Pitocin knowing the epidural didn't take? I don't know. If the epidural took, the Pitocin doesn't, like, it would have been an irrelevant thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely the point where it was just, I'd been active labor for a long time at that point. And like, you're just physically exhausted.
Yeah.
My brain was not functioning.
No. I feel like what I'm hearing you say is your brain was trying to, and this is what women do. We gaslight ourselves into thinking that we're fine or we should be fine. So we need to suck it up. Right. And you and Brandon didn't know that everything was not fine. So how could you have said anything? Like, you're in that pressure cooker, the frog in the hot water, it just gets hotter and hotter and hotter. And so all you were doing was coping. And the way that you were sitting was the only way that was comfortable. So you were trying to figure out how to cope in that situation. And then come to find out you potentially didn't need to. Is that what you kind of felt?
Yeah, I mean, probably, obviously the pain caused trauma, but it's probably more of the point where I wasn't in control of any of the situation.
Yeah.
That's probably where it stems from more.
Have you ever felt like your hormones are running the show? If you're dealing with sudden weight gain, sleepless nights, or a missing spark in your sex drive, it's time to flip the script with the Book of Hormones, the ultimate playbook for women's health and hormonal balance through every stage of life, by Dr. Shweta Patel. Dr. Patel, a highly regarded OBGYN, breaks down the mystery of hormones in a way that's easy to understand. No medical jargon, just real-life solutions. With a writing style that's Mindy Project meets Sex and the City, she'll have you laughing, nodding, and finally understanding your body. From managing postpartum and PCOS to tackling hormonal imbalances head-on, this book is packed with actionable steps to help you take control of your health. It's like having your gyno BFF hand you the ultimate playbook to thrive. Want to feel amazing again? Download it free on Kindle Unlimited or buy it now on Amazon. Find the link in the show notes.
Do you feel like you didn't feel in control because you thought you had the epidural and you felt like there was nothing else that could be done?
Maybe.
Okay. And if you don't want to dive deep right now, you don't have to.
We can. There's so much of that time I don't remember, probably because my brain is like, we don't want you to.
That's true. I find that if we can kind of pinpoint the time where we realize we didn't have to be as strong as we were, we can legitimize the feelings of being completely out of control, or realize that what you went through was truly an intense, painful experience that most people would feel was traumatic, right?
Right.
Then we can kind of take a breath and realize, okay, what I did was really hard. And I don't want to say we could go back and change it, but if you could go back and understand what was happening a little bit better, we can kind of alleviate some of that. So you were saying that your body was doing things that you normally wouldn't do, like you were moving in ways that were not natural for you. And then you finally managed to settle on sitting straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So what you were doing, although like with the Pitocin, if you're having contractions every 30 seconds, that's really hard, right? But what you were doing was you were probably moving your baby down in your pelvis, honestly, because let me try to piece it together. I don't know if you like have a complete timeline, but did they check your cervix before you got the second epidural?
I don't recall them doing it.
Okay. So what we do when we're moving around in labor is we try to move with our body so that we alleviate pressure and pain. And while that sounds horrific, and in your situation, I think it probably was, what we're doing is we're working with our baby. So you have a baby that's pushing on the bones of your pelvis and trying to work her way down. And as you have a contraction, your baby's head is moving to one side or the other, or twisting and rotating, or doing all of the above. And as you feel that there's a place of pressure where your baby's pushing, that's probably going to be an obstacle for your baby. So then you move so that you can kind of get out of the way of that obstacle. And as you're doing so, you're pushing your baby down in your body to make it so that your baby can be born. So when you say that you were bending in ways that you normally couldn't, yes, you're probably doing things more exaggerated than what we would be doing in natural labor, right? Because you had the Pitocin going. And that's not to say that Pitocin always does that. It sounds like if you're having contractions every 30 seconds, it might have been a little bit too much Pitocin. They probably could have backed off at that point. But the fact that you found ways to try to figure out how to get comfortable, you were doing all the things that I would have had you do had I been there, right? You were just doing them instinctually. You're listening to your body. So I just want you to know that while you felt like you weren't able to cope, that's exactly what you were doing. And you were helping your baby move down, right? And what your husband was doing, what Brandon was doing, was composing himself so that he could be there for you. So you guys were really doing everything you needed to do with the knowledge that you had. And so I just want you to know how great you did, despite feeling completely out of control. You were completely in the moment, using all of your instincts and doing the absolute right thing. And then when somebody came in and validated your feelings and realized that what had happened was your epidural wasn't working, you'd already done all the work. And then you got to take a nap and your baby was ready to come out. So I don't know if it was the relaxation that helped. I mean, that does help. It helps you, relax your muscles. But I think you probably did a lot of that work moving around and trying to get your baby in the right position. Does that feel any better?
Yeah. Except you cried. I told you not to make me cry.
I'm sorry. I told you I guaranteed I would.
Yeah.
So when you said that Brandon held Kylie and you weren't sure if you could, what were you feeling at that point?
Oh, I joke about it, but it was more, I wanted to hold her.
Yeah.
So there's probably some jealousy that he got to hold her first because they had to clean her. And I did not want to hold a pooping baby.
Okay.
Or a baby covered in poop.
Right.
I'm glad he got to. And I did get to hold her, and it was beautiful. And then we can go into a whole nother thing about breastfeeding. But it was hard.
What was hard about it?
Does it sound stupid if I say I don't know now?
No.
I mean, I think it was the not knowing and not having control of the situation. That's hard to give up. I'm actually really good at adjusting to things, but I think I don't know if anybody could have prepared for what happened to happen.
Right.
So I can't say, oh, if I had, learned more about it, or, oh, sometimes the epidural doesn't take, then I didn't know that could be a thing.
Do you feel like you did something wrong? I mean, we say you need plan A through Z, but really, how do you plan, right?
Right.
I hear you saying a lot about control. Is it the fact that you felt out of control when you felt that you needed to be in control that's the hardest?
Probably. Because it didn't follow my plan. It didn't follow what I want to have happen.
The plan that you didn't have.
Exactly. Well, we had a plan that I was going to go all natural and everything was going to be great, and we were going to bounce on my ball, and we were going to do our silly pregnancy dance. And
so I feel like birth is kind of the first welcome into motherhood and what it's really going to be like.
Yeah.
That whole, I'm actually not in control.
Yes.
And I know you deal with that daily, right?
Yes. Children are fun.
They are. And you roll with the punches there. Do you feel like you're really in control?
No.
Okay.
I feel like I have a resemblance of control.
You can respond to the situation without feeling you're physically out of control.
Yes.
And you didn't feel that way during your birth.
Correct.
Okay. So from my perspective, I feel like you had a lot more control than you think you did because of all the things you did instinctually in order to help your baby come out. Does that make sense? Hey there, incredible mamas and mamas-to-be. Are you looking for an online community where the magic of motherhood meets the empowerment of self-care? Then I've got just the place for you. Join my Bump and Beyond online community. At Bump and Beyond, we celebrate the journey of every bump rocker and post-birth boss. You, dear mama, deserve nothing but the best, and that's exactly what this community provides. Prepare to be pampered, cherished, and showered with all the love and support you deserve. Our mission is simple yet powerful: to be your one-stop destination for all things self-care, nurturing, and indulgence. Because let's face it, you're not just a mom, you're a fierce, unstoppable family CEO. At Bump and Beyond, I search the nation for mamas who are passionate about helping other mamas like you become the most successful version of yourself during your motherhood journey. Every resource in this community is either a virtual service that you can enjoy in the comfort of your own home or a product that can be shipped right to your doorstep. And everyone in the community is passionate about helping new mamas thrive. So come on in, explore our virtual aisles, connect with like-minded individuals, and immerse yourself in a community that is always here for you. Whether you're browsing, making new friends, or simply treating yourself, know that this space is yours to return to whenever you need a dose of positivity and empowerment. Welcome to a place where you are celebrated, cherished, and honored every step of the way. Welcome to the Bump and Beyond online community, where every mom shines like the superstar she is. Join us today and let's build our motherhood village together. Go to www.facebook.com/groups/bump and beyond. That's www.facebook.com/groups/BUMP, N as in Nancy, BEYOND. You can also find the link in the show notes. Be sure to say that you heard about us on the Birth Journeys podcast. I can't wait to see you there.
It definitely makes me feel better.
Okay.
About everything that did happen. I mean, Kylie's almost 9, and I never would have thought my body was moving in ways to make her shift to where she needed to be. So it definitely makes me feel better about that.
I mean, the fact that she broke your water and they had to tell you not to push.
Right.
That tells me that you did a lot of work.
I did a lot of something.
You did a lot of work. And then you got a well-deserved nap.
It was a much-needed nap.
Yeah. And then after all of that, they cleaned her off and gave her to Brandon. Were they doing anything with you? Did you at all feel like you physically couldn't hold her?
Oh, well, no. I couldn't hold her right away. They had to stitch me up.
Yeah.
I was very torn.
Yeah.
So they had to stitch me up. So they didn't want me, while they were doing that, they didn't want me to
hold her. And then afterwards, once you were like all cleaned up and everything, you had a chance.
Yes. Then I got to hold her.
So it's saying that Kylie is now 9, and just kind of thinking back to practices back then, I feel like, and this was kind of the way of it when my daughter was born, it wasn't standard to do immediate skin to skin with mom while the repair was happening. It wasn't until I feel like it became much more standard like 5 years ago now, because my youngest is 6. It was probably 3 or 4 years after that it really started becoming standard, because I worked at other hospitals after my son was born, and they still weren't fully doing like the golden hour skin to skin. So unfortunately, it was probably just the standard of practice back then. Now, if you have a baby, I feel like more hospitals are understanding the benefits of immediate skin to skin for 1 hour and will help you hold your baby. And then if you state that you don't feel like you can, they'll help you, or they'll find somebody else to do the skin to skin, like it sounds like they did with Brandon. Also, people don't like necessarily holding poopy babies.
I didn't want poop on me. At that point, I didn't anyway.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't going to be able to shower.
Right
away. So I understand why I didn't get her right away.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes
sense. Was
it
because you stated that you didn't want her, or because they were like, let's take a moment?
I think it was more, let's take a moment. Let's get her cleaned off.
Mm-hmm.
And Brandon was there.
Yeah.
And then they had to stitch me up in the afterbirth and all that stuff. So
I've definitely worked in places where there was still that, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I want to say patriarchal, but maybe not, but almost like talking down to moms and telling them what they want and what they need. I feel like I've worked in places where that was the standard for a long time. And I don't know if the culture is shifting yet, but I'm trying to help it shift.
Right.
Like when you know better, you do better. And I feel like I have consciously tried to remove that type of communication from my standard practice and ask moms what they wanted, because I don't know that we really had a handle on what kind of negative emotions linger after we do things like that, where we say, I'm going to take your baby and I'm going to clean your baby up. Even if that's kind of part of what you wanted, still that you weren't asked.
Right.
Still feels out of control.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I didn't want to hold a poopy baby.
Right.
But I guess not having the option, even if I would have said, no, clean her up. But again, maybe they did ask me. Mm-hmm. I don't remember.
And then there might have been like kind of a disappointment in yourself for not feeling able.
Right.
Yeah. I feel all of that. That happened when Kayla was born as well, because the doctor told me to reach down and take her, but she was floppy and blue. She just felt like a sack of Jell-O. I was like, I can't hold this baby. Please take her to the rescue team that's over there. And then I had all these emotions about like, why couldn't I hold my baby? And why didn't she ask me if I wanted to reach down and grab her? Because I didn't feel strong enough to do that. And then should I have been strong enough to do that? And all of those questions come up. And it's such an incredibly vulnerable moment when you're first meeting your child that it's so easy to feel like you've done something wrong. And that sticks with you for a long time. And it's not necessarily, I don't want to fault the medical community, because we're still trying to figure out how to navigate that, because everybody's going to have different feelings. But I just want moms out there to know that it's okay to really work through that and forgive yourself for feeling not as strong as you wanted to in that moment, and for reacting in the only way that you know how, because you really do need support in that moment. And if you're handing your baby off to someone because you don't feel capable, or if you don't want poop all over your body, it's okay. It's okay to feel vulnerable and outside of your comfort zone. For you specifically, your comfort zone was having poop all over you, and that's completely understandable. That's gross. You already feel completely exposed. There's somebody down there sewing everything up. Yeah. You've probably been naked and sweaty and all those things. And to have one more thing on top of you covered in poop, come on.
Hard pass. I'm good. Thanks,
That's really hard. Yeah. But I understand like the feeling of disappointment, like, what? I don't get to hold my baby? That's rough.
Yeah, moms, it's not like what they show in movies.
It really isn't. There's so much going on in that moment. Okay, so then it sounds like Kason was completely different. What was going on there?
Kason was completely different. So with him, I woke up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. And then when I was walking back to the bed, I was like, oh, I just peed myself. And I was like, but I just went to the bathroom. And I was like, wait, maybe that's my water breaking. So I woke up Brandon and I was like, either my water just broke or I just peed on myself after I already went to the bathroom. And so he was like, I'm going to Google it. But I called the nurse hotline, and then they asked, like, is it clear and odorless? I was like, well, it's on my carpet, so I can't really tell. And they're like, it probably was your water breaking. Go ahead and come in. And my best friend was my next door neighbor. And so I called Kat and I said, my water just broke, so they're having us going to the hospital. And she tells the story of like, oh, Harry Potter was ringing. That was my ringtone, Harry Potter. So she was like, what is that noise? This is the weirdest dream. And she was like, Erin's in labor. So she woke up real fast and came over. It was like 3 a.m. when she came over, because she was there to watch Kylie for us. So we drove to the hospital, and it was so different from Kylie, because with the water breaking, I felt all that pressure right away. Where before with Kylie, it was just like the squeezing. Like something's going on. I don't know what it is, but once the water broke, I was like, oh, that is like solid pressure happening down there. Things are going down and stuff's going on. So that's probably in comparison of the two where I'm like, why didn't they break my water earlier? It's because with Kason, the water broke on its own and I could tell stuff was happening. Where with Kylie, they broke it and then it was like, oh, boom, baby. There. So that's probably where I feel like that disconnect between the woulda, coulda, shoulda, looking back. So with Kason, we got to the hospital and they put us in triage. It was a different hospital than the one with Kylie. This is the crazy thing. Well, there are two crazy parts of Kason's story, but the triage was open. So it was just the sliding curtains between the moms. And it was early March of 2020. So it was March 2nd. The day he was born. At this point, it's 4 a.m. They're like, hey, we're just going to keep you in triage because there's moms coming in with a lot of breathing problems. Side note, there was a hurricane that was coming through in March of that year also. So it's sending it was probably a tropical storm. It wasn't a hurricane, but it was sending a lot of women into labor and they were having breathing problems. So we didn't know it at the time because they just thought they had the precautions for the flu up. Like you could only have one person in the room. Children were not allowed anywhere upstairs. They had all those things in place for the flu, but turns out it wasn't the flu. It was COVID. So all these women with breathing problems had COVID or just walking by.
Oh my gosh.
No big deal, but we didn't know. You know, lockdown didn't happen for 2 more weeks. So looking back, I was like, oh, that could have been a lot worse than what it was. So we were in triage, and because I wasn't at risk for anything, they just let me stay there. I don't remember a lot of that point. I do remember telling them when I came in that I wanted an epidural because I didn't want the pain again. So I'm in triage and they're checking on me occasionally. But like I said, it was early in the morning. I thought I fell back asleep. Brandon's like, no, you were awake and we were talking the whole time. I don't remember any of it. So it clearly wasn't very compelling conversations with my husband. But then the nurse finally came in and checked and she was like, oh, you wanted an epidural? We got to go. Because I was almost to the point dilation where it was like to the point of no return, where I would not be able to have the epidural. And so they got the wheelchair and they moved me up to the birthing suite and they came in to do the epidural right away. What I remember about that was the anesthesiologist was training somebody else and she had to poke my back about 6 times to get the needle in. And she was like, I need you to do a C curve on your back. And I'm like, I am. And she's like, you're not. And I was like, I am. And so I was probably pretty rude to the nurse, but I was getting very frustrated. And I just told the nurse, just move me where I need to go. Because I thought I was rounding my shoulders and doing the curve. And I'm like, and there's this big baby in my belly, a nice, almost 9-pounder. And I'm like, I can't physically move that way. And so I just told the nurse, like, move me where you need me to move me. And so she did. And then they got the epidural in. It did take right away. They just had to poke me many times for it. And then once the epidural took, it was, 2 pushes. I remember the epidural taking, and I remember like laying down and being calm. So I probably was just hanging out watching TV. I don't remember. Like that is gone from me once the epidural took. And then the nurse told me the doctor's going to come in because it's about time. And they said, he's gorgeous. And he has these really, really blue eyes, like this color, like really, really pretty blue. And my husband is like, why do we always have to have the handsome doctors coming? So I do remember when the doctors, you're spread wide open and he's down there and he's got blue eyes. And I was like, you are really pretty.
Did you actually say that to him?
Yeah.
I did. He was that pretty.
Yeah. And the nurse was laughing, but the nurse was like, don't worry, like talking to Brandon, don't worry, husband, he has 6 kids. He's happily married. And so
just a little eye candy to help you out.
Yes, absolutely. Who knew you just needed an attractive man to calm me down? Sorry, husband. You're the one that did this to me. No.
Yeah. Okay. So you got your epidural and then like 1 push.
I don't remember anything after that. I'm sure there was an hour or something between, but it was like once the epidural took, then it was just I didn't feel anything. So it was just happening. And then it was like, Kason was like 2 pushes.
So I hear you glossing over the hard part. What's going on there?
I don't know.
Was there a hard part for that one?
With Kason, the hard part was her stabbing my back with the epidural.
But
that's what I remember.
Right. Okay. So all I can think is that probably Kason was moving down in your pelvis sooner, which caused your water to break naturally.
Right.
Which caused you to have those real labory contractions, like where they're really doing the thing and you're feeling the pressure. But I also hear you saying that you didn't feel like you're I don't want to say you weren't in as much pain, but it wasn't as like out of control.
It was definitely not as out of control as Kylie's.
Can you are you able to kind of go into your body and compare the two?
I mean, in comparison, Kylie's was much more traumatic than Kason's.
But you were noticing the contractions felt different. You felt immediately that pressure and that moving down in the pelvis.
Yes.
Did you not feel that with Kylie?
No.
Because you recognized it when you felt it with Kason.
Oh, I don't remember feeling anything like what I felt with Kason. Because once the epidural took, I didn't it'd be like, I feel this happening.
Got it.
But with
Kylie?
I felt that with Kylie after the epidural took. Mm-hmm. That's what I felt because I didn't feel anything.
Mm-hmm. You just felt the pressure.
I just felt like there's something, but it wasn't pain at that point.
And then what was it like with Kason?
With Kason, I wouldn't say there was pain. There was a lot of pressure. And I felt that in the car ride over. And I was like, oh, like this is different than what happened with Kylie because I never felt that with Kylie.
What do you remember what you did feel like where in your body you felt it?
The pressure?
Just everything with Kylie.
Oh, with Kylie? I mean, I guess I don't know if I can find, I guess it was like, it would have been in my lower back, maybe. Mm. There's a lot of pain. I just remember there was so much pain.
Yeah.
But before they had given me the Pitocin, it was my lower back that was hurting a lot. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it was just like.
And then it was out of control with the Pitocin.
Yeah.
So lower back pain usually indicates that the baby is what we call OP, which is basically sunny side up. Do you remember how she came out?
She was head first.
Right. But was her face up towards the ceiling or down, or did they tell you?
I don't know if they even told me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is a really awkward way for your baby to come out because you want your baby to be facing the floor. If you're, which I don't recommend, don't lay on your back to try to have a baby. Don't stay on your back. However, if you're on your back and your baby is facing down, and usually your baby is either one side or the other, but facing down, not straight through. You don't want a baby going straight through your pelvis because there's not enough room. Your pelvis is like this, right? So you want your baby to kind of go that way or that way. The most common position is your left side anterior, up, but facing down. That way usually helps your baby get through the pelvis a little bit better. It sounds like Kylie was just face up. And so that would explain why you had to do so much maneuvering and it was so uncomfortable because she probably wasn't really in your pelvis until you were able to sit up and get comfortable.
Right.
And then you had your epidural, and then did they move you at all after your epidural?
I don't recall.
Okay. So I would imagine that that's what the pain came from versus with Kason. He was probably in position, your water broke, and he started just kind of, hey, buddy, moving through your pelvis. Good job, by the way. Congratulations.
Mommy, I figured out something.
Oh, can you tell me real fast?
So, do you know, he's still alive in the next scene, but he's a ghost.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. Have your kids watched K-pop Demon Hunters yet?
Oh, yes. How many hundreds of times? Yes.
Yeah, so he was talking about Genu.
Oh.
He's a ghost now.
Yeah. Okay.
So
love that.
It has a very good message.
I've seen bits and pieces of it, and I'm like, I don't understand. So maybe I should sit and watch it.
Yeah. And the first time I was like, I don't know about this. Because I was at the scene when the boy band first shows up, and I'm like,
Feels very negative.
But it's a cute baby.
Yeah. Hey there, amazing mamas to be. Are you feeling overwhelmed by the thought of childbirth? Do you have worries and fears that keep you up at night? Well, I've got some fantastic news for you. I'm here to help you transform your birth experience from fearful to fierce. I'm Kelly Hoff. I'm a labor nurse and host of the Birth Journeys podcast. If you love what you hear on this podcast and wonder how I can help you prepare for your birth, look no further. As your transformational birth coach, I will partner with you to ensure that you feel confident and empowered as you prepare to welcome your baby into the world. Together, we'll develop a customized program where I help you learn labor coping skills, set achievable goals, and make you feel well prepared and supported for the big day. So what makes birth coaching different from those traditional birth classes? Birth classes can often overwhelm you with a flood of information in a short period of time, leaving you with more questions than answers. But with my birth coaching program, you get personalized one-on-one support, saving you time and effort. Here's what you can expect from my birth coaching program: customized guidance, tailored to your medical needs and preferred birth setting, personal support, one-on-one sessions to address your specific concerns and goals, empowerment, gain the confidence to make informed decisions and be your own advocate during childbirth. Birth coaching is not a linear process. We'll work together to determine what parts of the curriculum need to be addressed at each session. And the best part? You can enhance your birth coaching package with additional services tailored to your journey. Ready to transform your birth experience? Join my birth coaching program today, and let's take this incredible journey together. Head over to kellyhoff.com to learn more and get started. Remember, with me by your side, you'll go from anxious to assured, from overwhelmed to empowered. That's KELLYHOF.com. You can also find the link in the show notes. I'm excited to be a part of your transformational birth journey. Yeah, so back to Kason, I think the difference is probably just the position that your babies were in.
Yeah.
And also first-time mom versus second-time mom. So your body not knowing what to do with your first, and probably because of the back labor you're experiencing, she was probably facing up, not the optimal position, because when babies are facing up, the pressure is on the back side of your pelvis, which is why you feel like it's the back of her head, the hardest part of her head on the back of your pelvis, the hardest part of the pelvis, where really she needs to be turned the other way so that she can get down, because the back part of your pelvis is up here and then the front part of your pelvis is down here. So then there's like a little bit more space for them to maneuver down and it's less pressure. And then like they're in the optimal position to come out of your pelvis. So I think all of the work you did was to try to move her into a different position or move her through your pelvis while still in that position. Either way, that's incredibly hard. And then Kason came down the way your body was made for him to come down.
Right. Mom,
yeah,
I'm going to be, after your second child, I'm just going to make this so easy.
Right. Yeah. So, and then did you get to hold him right away?
I think so. I don't remember.
Like, I don't know. It was all just a big blur.
I do. Braden's like, no, you were awake the whole time. I'm like, I don't think I was. I don't remember.
Because you were focusing. You were just like in the zone.
Maybe. I remember sitting there and I remember nurses going by and being like, oh, we got to get this one. And
that's labor land. That's what we want. That's what we try to get. Like your brain is checked out. It's you and your intuition and all your primal instincts. The rest of your logical brain is checked out. Whereas with Kylie, it sounds like your logical brain was there the whole time trying to go, what the hell is happening?
Probably.
Yeah, that's hard. There's this, I don't remember what the actual quote is, and I'm probably going to misquote this, but there's this story that women go into outer space to like bring their baby back down. And I feel like that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to completely leave your body and go bring this soul into the world in order to make that happen. And it sounds like it was really hard for you to do with Kylie because your body wasn't doing what you expected it to do and you felt like you had to control it. And with Kason, your body was doing what you expected it to do and you just naturally checked out. And I feel like both times you were doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's it definitely makes me feel better because I'm like, I don't remember that. I don't remember. And it's like, why don't I remember these moments?
Your brain was offline.
My brain didn't need me to think.
Right.
At that point, it just needed me to do.
Right. And that's why we try not to interrupt women in labor, because to check back into that thinking part of your brain brings you right back to like the pain and what's happening and imagining like what's going on in your body. And that's scary.
Right.
So I feel like you did all of the things that you needed to do in both labors. And once you finally were able to go into outer space and get your baby for both.
Had to go visit the stork.
Right. Yeah. Because with the epidural, you were able to get your nap and like check out.
Right.
And with Kason, the epidural was the part that made you come back to life.
Yeah. They're both amazing, though.
Well, you are a rock star for both.
It's amazing.
Thanks, Kelly. I do think that, I mean, for anybody that watches this, obviously, well, not obviously, they don't know me, but you know me.
I do.
And, you know, we do a lot of thought process thinking and helping us overcome emotions and things like that. And so this is something Kelly and I work on all the time with each other. But I do think as a mom, even for somebody that does do that work on ourselves, having somebody else validate your feelings and no matter what happens, you did a good job. And I think it's really important that moms hear that. And I don't feel like we hear that enough as moms because we take such a burden on. Like everything's it's my job to care for the children. It's my job to have the house clean. It's my job to do this. But the validation that whatever you're doing is great. And what you're doing in that moment is what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Even if it's not up to the expectations that we think they should have. Because we do hold us up on higher expectations.
Well, and I think that also when we compare ourselves to others and we don't know what the standard we're comparing it to is, I feel like in this instance, trying to compare Kylie's birth to Kason's birth is setting an unreasonable standard.
Right.
And so, yeah, of course, you're going to feel awful about that first birth, that's the standard you're comparing to. That wasn't something you could control. And you actually did control it by instinctually moving in ways that alleviated the pressure. And ultimately, that led to your nurse noticing that your epidural wasn't working. And honestly, moms with babies that are sunny side up, the way that it sounds like Kylie was, need a lot of extra help, whether it's positioning or sometimes you just need to get that epidural so you can relax. And I think you did the best you possibly could without knowing what was going on.
Yeah.
So we have a few minutes left. How was postpartum for both? You were talking about breastfeeding, and that's a whole other animal.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is a whole nother animal. Well, I'll start with Kason.
Mm-hmm.
I do think already gone through the process for things. Second baby, just easier in my situation. COVID lockdown hit. You know, I think it was like the 14th of March. So Brandon was forced to stay home because that was something I had a lot of fear for. Like, how am I going to take care of a 3-year-old and a newborn baby at the same time? But then lockdown happens. And so Brandon was home with me for, 6 months straight, pretty much. So that made life very easy. So with Kason, I think the thing that was harder with Kason was the body image stuff because I gained a lot of weight with him. So that was definitely a harder thing to overcome. With Kylie, I'd lost a lot of weight. With Kason, I wasn't working at the restaurant anymore, so I wasn't walking like I had been. So there were just a lot of things that compiled. So with Kason was probably more the body image stuff. Kylie, the most stressful was the breastfeeding. I had in my mind that this is the way God wants it, and it's very easy and natural, and it should just happen. And it didn't with Kylie. So the fact that I wanted it so bad, we spent a lot of money on cookies and nutrition for me to take, and we read a lot to see what could help. And we went to the lactation consultant at the hospital like 3 times a week to see if she could help. And I was pumping at the same time, so that way I could try to get my flow up. But I think the most I ever pumped in a session was maybe like 1 ounce, like ever in the 3 months I would tried. And it hit really hard initially because in the hospital, she latched and the nurse was like, oh, she latched. Great. You're doing a great job. And, she was gaining weight and then they lose the weight initially. So when we went to her first doctor's appointment, whatever it was, the 5 days later, they were like, she's underweight. She's jaundiced, so they had to go draw blood from her. And at that point, we decided I would not be taking the children to the doctor's office when they needed shots because that was a traumatic situation for me. 5 days postpartum, had to go to the hospital. They were poking her foot to try to get the blood, and she was crying so much. I was crying. Brayden's like, I don't know what to do. So that was really hard because I was like, why are they hurting my baby? And why is she underweight? Why isn't my body doing what it's supposed to do? So then we had to start supplementing with formula. And looking back from everything that I learned from you and then from one of our other ladies in Bump and Beyond, Alex, I mean, the more stressed you are about something, the less you're going to produce with it. And so there were things that I probably could have done differently that I didn't really know about. Mm-hmm. But that time too with Kylie, there was the shift that breast is best. But then you also had the public shaming of if you were breastfeeding in public. So it was a very weird time slot. Mm-hmm. Like to have a kid and then wanting to breastfeed. And then you have outside sources, the older generation saying, oh, you should just feed with a bottle and don't try. And that bothered me a lot. The thing that probably got me the most was my mom came up for, it was a week or 2 weeks right when Kylie was born to help. And it was after the doctor's appointment. And mom was like, oh, I was never able to breastfeed you kids. And it was like, mom just dropped a bomb on me that, okay, maybe this isn't me, but this is genetics. And why the F wouldn't you have said something sooner? Because I've been freaking out for, the last week that I'm not nourishing my child how I'm supposed to and all these things. And then maybe it's just my body. Like maybe it's just not meant to happen for my body. Because before I didn't see that as an option. Like, no, God intended moms to produce food for their baby. And so I was going to do everything in my gosh darn power to figure out how to make that work. Yeah. And so at that point, I actually started a group on Facebook of like my friends that I had known that had kids, and very similar to what Bump and Beyond is now, where it's like, if you have questions, if you're seeking help for something, don't feel like you're lost in the wind. Somebody has been through it before you, and you can find help if you ask. But yeah, breastfeeding was very, very, very hard.
Yeah.
I tried for 3 months, and it's with Kason, I still was not able to produce a lot, but I gave him what I could. Mm-hmm. But I went at it at a very different mindset of I'm going to do my best with what I can do. And that is perfect.
Right. And that's the mindset we all need.
Yes.
I mean, if anything, I could give a mom mindset going into the first time. It's you're going to do the best that you can. And that is perfect.
Yes. And so with Kason, I was like, okay, I'm good. We're done. And I think for him, it was like a month that I tried. But with Kylie, she was either strapped to my boob trying to feed her, or I had the pumps in. And we spent, doing the research on the breast pumps. Like I got the Spectra or whatever it was from the insurance company. But then, okay, maybe we get new flanges that fit my boobs better. And maybe if we get the Hoka, that's just like, it just squeezes it out based off of suction or... So, I was like, oh, they have this new one that like, I don't know, like we spent so much money and time. I spent so much time on that to try to get it because I thought it was what was supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. And like I said, in the hospital, they were very adamant about you should keep trying to breastfeed. You should keep trying to do this. But then it got to the point, especially with me having to go back to work. I was like, it's not working. I'm not going to be in the restaurant and pump for every 2 hours. I have to leave my tables to go pump for 20 minutes each side.
Yeah.
And so when I went back to work, I think I did it for like a week and I was like, I'm out.
And were you in the bathroom doing that?
No, they let me go to the office.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I was really good friends with management. They did have a camera in the office, but there was like no. There was one corner that nothing saw. It was right by the door. So they put like a screen over the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there'd only be 2 people with keys at any time in the restaurant. And I was one of them because I would manage for them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, whenever you need to go, just go. So they were very supportive of what I wanted to do. But like I said, after like a few shifts, I was like, yeah,
it sucks.
So done. But I wanted that connection with Kylie, and I wanted to give her what she needed. And I do believe that, I mean, obviously with the studies, it shows it's true, but breast milk is amazing for the kids. And I wanted to give that to her. And my body was just like, no, you can have a little bit, but not a lot.
Yeah, I had the same feeling. And the truth is, I don't want to gloss over the dark history of breastfeeding and wet nurses and all that. But in the past, that's why we've had alternatives, right? So in my head, I thought, and this is what I told myself, if it were 200 years ago and I weren't able to breastfeed my baby, she would die. That was what was playing in my head when I was determined to breastfeed. The truth is, there are other humans out there or animals that can breastfeed your baby. And I'm not advocating for going out and finding another human to do it. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. We have a lot of options now. Like we have donor banks where the milk has been pasteurized, tested, all of that stuff. Cow's milk isn't equivalent to breast milk. So if you're thinking about replacing breast milk with cow's milk, don't do it until your baby's a year old. But 200 years ago, there were other options. Right. I know my mom told me that her mom used, I think, barley to make some sort of formula for her because she couldn't breastfeed, or it was frowned upon back then. I don't even know, because there's been so many different trends in feeding babies.
Right.
So, and also back when your mom was feeding you, the trend was definitely not breastfeeding. That was when formula was the thing, right? And so there was no support. And there's so much expectation on moms, and the rules change all the time.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to fit into the societal mold that you're seeing today, I want to absolve you of that, because it's a trend. That's all it is right now. We get the information that we get from the sources we get, and then we interpret that information and we share it, and then moms are told that they should follow that. And truthfully, moms need to do what they need to do. They need to figure out what's best for them and their family, and figure out what works for them, and then move on and not worry about what society is saying. And sure, go to the pediatrician, make sure your baby's healthy, right? And listen to the pediatrician. But also, if you're talking to your pediatrician and something just doesn't feel right for you, ask for alternatives. They can help you. And it doesn't need to mean anything. You don't need to create an entire story around, like I did, like my baby would have died 200 years ago. Don't do that to yourself, because it's probably not true. You probably don't have enough information. Do what's best for you right now, given the circumstances you have right now, and let that be the best that you can do, because your job is to be the best mother, human being for your baby. And it doesn't just mean you give them the perfect food. It doesn't just mean that you have the perfect delivery. You do the best you can in the moment, and you move on. And you know that the decision that you made, the resources that you had at that moment, the emotional energy that you had in that moment, the physical energy you had in that moment, that you did the best thing that you could in that moment for you and your baby. And then you move on.
Well said.
Normally at this point, I ask if you could go back in time and talk to yourself at any point in this process, where would you go and what would you say? I feel like you've kind of already answered this, but I'm going to go ahead and give you the opportunity.
So in all seriousness, I would go back and say, call Kelly.
I don't know if I could have helped you 9 years ago, because I was still in the turmoil of my first birth.
Right. It would. And I think a lot of the situation that came through has just been being around the people I'm with and the company I'm with, and just that what happened, and it's okay. And I did a great job doing it.
And I think the message, though, is find your village.
Yes.
Right? Because that's the only way we've come through this. Like, I've done so much healing from finding my village in ways I had no idea I needed to heal. And I think that, I mean, like, that's kind of our life's work right now. So, so find your village. And if you don't have a village, come join Bump and Beyond, because we're here for you.
And taking that a step further, it's showing our children how we can overcome hard situations too. Mm-hmm. And I truly believe the situations that we go through are meant to help us educate others, whether it be our children or our friends or someone we've never met before, understand that they're not alone in what they're doing.
Yeah.
And as a mom, I think we question ourselves a lot, but you always know what's going to be best for you and for your babies.
Yeah. Tap into that instinct and listen to it.
Yeah. Or call Kelly.
Or call me. Well, Erin, I'm so glad we finally got a chance to do this. And as always, it's been a pleasure talking.
It's been a pleasure. I missed your face.
I missed yours too. It's been a busy summer, but I'm so glad
I'm ready
to do this.
And then I say that and school's even busier.
And then you're sad. And then we're going to be like, where are our babies?
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Love you. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Kelly. Love you too.
Thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes. Don't forget to share the podcast with a friend who can benefit from the valuable insights that we share here. And if you could take a moment to leave a 5-star rating and review, it would mean the world to me. If you're ready to work one-on-one with me to embark on a transformational journey towards a confident and empowered hospital birth experience, go to kellyhoff.com/empowered and enroll in my Empowered Hospital Birth Coaching Program. Together, we'll create a roadmap to a birth experience that you'll cherish forever. That's KELLYHOF.com/empowered. Let's make your birth experience extraordinary.